Grace to you and peace. I'm Father Matthew Grenfeld, and I am coming to you from our outdoor chapel here at the Memorial Garden of the Church of the Annunciation on beautiful Anna Maria Island. It's a perfect day today. It's about 73 degrees Fahrenheit, sunny with a nice little breeze. And I want to invite you to participate in a little online Christian education class that I'm calling our second communion class. Some of us did a first communion class years ago. Some of us did an inquirer's class when we came into the Episcopal Church, or back in the days of the 1928 prayer book, you went through a catechism class that admitted you to Holy Communion at confirmation. A number of us grew up in other traditions, so I'm realizing that we bring a lot of background and different backgrounds as we gather here at the church to celebrate the Eucharist. I hope that you will join me in this effort. I've been thinking about this since our online Zoom coffee hour yesterday, where we were talking about the possibility of opening the church up in some capacity in the not too distant future. And I've been thinking about some of the questions you asked me as we look toward the point of gathering in community in a way that isn't just online or isn't just in the church with only the ordained clergy and our lay professional staff. And you've given me a lot to think about in these coming days. I certainly want to make sure that whatever we do promotes the health, safety, and well-being of everyone, and I am, of course, concerned about protecting the reputation of the Church of the Annunciation in our community, and making sure that we don't do anything that would endanger our parish. So I realize, all of that said, that many of us are longing for a chance to be present in the church again as other sectors of our society begin to reopen. And even as I say that, I know that some of us will be unable to do so until there is a time when we have a solid and tested medical remedy for COVID-19 or a vaccine to protect against the coronavirus. So I know that there's a lot of uncertainty in the weeks and months and maybe even the year ahead. So how do we come together? How do we celebrate the life of the church together during these times? We obviously are thinking a lot about the practical issues, but connected to these concerns are the deep theological issues which have been raised as we've been forced to take our mostly bricks and mortar operation and make it digital. This is particularly true of our sacramental theology, and especially the Holy Eucharist. We as priests, when we're ordained, literally sign our lives away at ordination when we make an oath declaring the Holy Scriptures of the Old and New Testaments to be the Word of God and to contain all things necessary for salvation, and we solemnly engage to conform to the doctrine, discipline, and worship of the Episcopal Church. This is why whatever we do as priests, we lead with our theology, and this is why we are not able to always accommodate everything that people want us to do. So in our Zoom conversation yesterday, I felt a little bit like the executives at Blockbuster Video back in the year 2000, when they were presented an opportunity to buy Netflix for $50 million. And we all know the decision that they made and how that turned out. We still have Netflix doing very well. Many of us are watching it right now as we're stuck in our homes. And then Blockbuster Video is the thing of the past now. So I realized that I felt like I was being challenged to think about how we do church in this time. We found all kinds of reasonable workarounds from everything from grocery shopping to keeping ourselves occupied to the relationships we share with our families and friends, and even, yes, our connection to God through the church. It's not perfect, but we're finding that through technology, we are doing surprisingly well with these tools that we have. It's not perfect. There's a longing to be able to go about our lives, to gather together. But in the meantime, what we have actually is doing okay. And because of that, we're naturally asking the questions of how we replicate the experience of the sacraments and the Eucharist, even as we're thinking about how we replicate other aspects of our lives during this time. 40 years into the life of the 1979 Book of Common Prayer, most of us in the Episcopal Church have come to accept the central role of the Holy Eucharist and the reception of Holy Communion as the principal act of worship on the Lord's Day and many other times as well. The term unprecedented is often overused, but this time its use is appropriate. Never before have we had a Eucharistically centered church in the context of a larger ecumenical and Anglican theological tradition during a pandemic with a modern understanding of the science of germ transmission, with the means to connect to each other and live stream over the internet. It's a lot for all of us to bite off and chew, and for us priests, it's a lot to take on in terms of our theological tradition and the need to make sure that what we do is reflective of who we are as the church. And of course, I'm figuring this out along with every other rector of a parish who is attempting to be faithful in leading their parish communities, and some of them are coming up with different responses, and that's just the way it is, and that's okay. And you can go on the internet, you can flip to another church these days using your phone or your tablet or your computer and see what they're doing at the church down the road or across the country. We're all trying to be faithful Christians during this time, and we are making our way. So, in our conversation, I thought that it seemed appropriate for us, while we're not celebrating the Eucharist, to take some time to reflect on what it is we do, to perhaps turn off the autopilot, as it were. We've been forced to do that, and think about how what we do has meaning rather than this is just what we do because we've always done it that way. There will be a day when we are able to be gathered around font, pulpit, and table to celebrate the sacred mysteries together. There will be a day when that happens. And I say this both as an article of faith, but also with the historical knowledge that no pandemic in human history has lasted forever. But during this time, we live in a season of longing and anticipation. And one of my takeaways is that this time is one for reflection, of education, of catechesis. And that's true for all of us, including myself. The Eucharist finds its origins where Jesus gathered in an upper room around a table to share a meal with his disciples. And he said, "Do this in remembrance of me." So this is important. And I don't want to be a party pooper or a Luddite during a challenging time. But as a priest, I want to make sure that I am being a faithful custodian of this command of Jesus. That is part of my responsibility as the priest of a parish. So I thought the best way to do this is to create some short videos in the coming days and weeks, hopefully shorter than this one. And I hope that you will join me in this second communion class. And on behalf of the Church of the Annunciation here on Anna Maria Island, to you wherever you are, I wish you health and wellness. And now may the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.